my experience, having dealt with the German embassy every time I've traveled to Germany, they're very professional, super efficient. However, there are no shortcuts because it was my first time traveling with my daughter. And so we were under a time crunch, something that we could have completely avoided had I just done a little bit of research. Hi everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Damlisa and welcome back to my subscribers and welcome if you're new here. So, as you can see from today's video, I'm discussing all things the National D visa, specifically for South Africans who are planning to travel to Germany specifically. Now, in order to travel to Germany as a South African, there are plenty of other types of visas, including an au pair visa, job seekers visa, skilled workers visa, family reunification. I mean, the list is very long. And I will specifically be getting into the long-term National D visa and sort of the tips that I would give somebody who is looking into applying for this visa and may have a few questions or is a little bit confused with the information that is online. So the first thing that I wanted to stress to people is that it is absolutely important for the National D visa that your documents check out. I mean, this is the case for all of the visas. From my experience, having dealt with the German embassy every time I've traveled to Germany, they're very professional, super efficient. However, there are no shortcuts. Whatever is in that list of requirements, you absolutely need every single one of those things. Otherwise, your visa will not be granted. However, that does not mean in the event that it is declined or rejected that you cannot reapply. You can actually reapply immediately, and more likely than not, the colleagues at the embassy will detail what was missing or the things that they still need from you. This process does take long, so give yourself ample time prior to the time that you plan to leave. Because this is a long-term visa, a lot of things need to be investigated and considered, and therefore it is not a quick process. So if you're watching this and you've had the experience of getting a Schengen visa, please consider that you probably need to add another few weeks onto that, realistically until you can expect to get your National D visa. If you have kids or you are married, you have a partner, and you plan to travel with family, so you're not just going to travel on your own, you're planning to go to Germany for a job, for studies, but are taking family members and other people with you, those people will require documents, specific documents. Those documents are detailed on the website because obviously it's a case by case. In my case, I traveled with my daughter and we needed to have her birth certificate. So we needed her original unabridged birth certificate, but we also needed her birth certificate to be apostilled. It's a separate process that is done by DIRCO, and simply put, apostling is really certifying the document, proving that this document is authentic. So you cannot just go to the police and get a 3-month certified copy. You need to then get your document apostilled through DIRCO. This process takes up to 3 months, in some cases longer. So if you are planning to travel and have certain timelines in mind, please factor in that the apostling process can take an incredibly long time. And I did not know this because I was not aware that this process would be needed because it was my first time traveling with my daughter. And so we were under a time crunch, something that we could have completely avoided had I just done a little bit of research or maybe found a video or just had been prepared a bit better. Again, it was experience. I just simply did not have this experience, and we lost a lot of time due to having to wait for this apostilled document. You cannot leave. You cannot even apply for the visa for the partner, for the child, without this document. There are a few services that expedite this process and do it quicker. However, that does come at a charge. So I would not go this route. However, this is a step that you can't miss if you are applying for a National D visa for your spouse, your child, partner, and people that are traveling with you. In the case that you're traveling with a partner who is not your spouse and you don't have a marriage certificate that you can present, I'm actually unsure what the process would be in that case, and that would be something that you'd have to look into, I guess, on an ad hoc basis, because there are all kinds of scenarios where people have to travel with partners that are not legally their partners or family, and I'm sure there is a process that accommodates that. However, I do not have this experience. Every person who applies for a visa through the German embassy needs an insurance that covers them for the time period that they're going to be in the country. This is unavoidable. You absolutely need to have one. However, in the long-term context, like where you're not just going to be in the country for 3 months and you can quickly get an insurance through your bank or through your medical aid, you would really need to do your research and find out what available insurances there are. There are a long list of insurances that are available for all kinds of cases if you're a student, if you're a skilled worker, if you're an au pair. So a quick Google search would help you out, and I will leave a link below with some tips and tricks in terms of finding insurances that may be suitable for you. However, this step cannot be avoided. Another thing to bear in mind with the National D visa is that you initially get a visa for 90 days. This visa grants you access into the country. However, within that 90-day period after you've arrived, you would have to then register yourself in your respective city, village, town where you'll be, and then you get your residence permit. This is not the process if you get a 90-day Schengen visa. So this is a very important distinction, and it has to be done within that time period. This is a step that a lot of people are not aware of. However, there are cases where the embassy will grant you a visa for the full duration of the time that you're supposed to be in Germany. And then you would not necessarily need to go get a residence permit upon arrival after 90 days, then I guess you're just lucky. If somebody's watching this and they can explain why that sometimes happens, please do. I honestly have no idea. This has happened to me a few times where I applied for a National D visa and was just granted a visa for the full duration of the time. But in most cases, you get the 90-day Schengen visa or a visa to allow you access into Germany, and then you have to register, and upon registering you then get your residence permit for the full duration of your time there. And of course they are very strict with this, so if you plan to extend your stay in Germany, then obviously you would need to adhere to the respective process and factor in that these things always take time. In my experience now, last year when I was in Germany, specifically in Berlin, because Berlin is so overpopulated and so dense and there's so many people, the registration process, so the process that is required after the 90 days simply took very long because one, we couldn't get an appointment for very long, and two, because the apartment search complicates the settling in process, because in order to register you need to have an apartment in a place of residence. So it was sort of this cat and mouse process upon arrival in Germany. And so if you are moving to Berlin, just factor in that sometimes getting that residence permit might take you a bit longer, and the authorities are aware of this. As long as you continue to make an effort to register and get your residence permit, you should be fine. So do not relax. Make sure that this is one of the first things that you do upon arrival. Another important thing, and I think this is what really is a distinction between maybe other European countries and other countries as a whole, is that in order to get access into Germany, specifically for more long-term visas, proof of language skills are needed. So you need to have proof that either you are going to be participating in a language course upon arrival, or you already have language skills, or you already are able to speak the language and obviously have certification to prove it. A lot of people do not understand this requirement. However, I completely understand it. It is a German country. It makes your integration process easier. And to be honest, it also needs to benefit them as a country. And if you are able to speak the language and you are contributing to the economy, or you're studying and you're contributing to the academic space in that country, if you know the language, it helps you settle in, but it also makes sense and benefits the country as well. So this is one of those non-negotiables that I completely understand. And if you look at the upside, it's a cool opportunity to get to know and learn another language. So please have a look at the various types of National D visas. For example, I know if you're an au pair, you are able to learn the language once upon arrival, as well as for studies, as well as for the job seekers. However, there are some visas that are a little bit more strict, where you need to present the proof of German skills beforehand, or at least the intention to learn the language beforehand. I must say, when it comes to this particular one, I never had any challenges because I know how to speak the language. But I know from friends and peers that this was often a challenge, and sometimes on this basis, people's visas were then declined. So if you have a lover in Germany and you're trying to reconnect with this person and you have not made an effort to speak their language, you might struggle to get a visa to then stay there or potentially plan a life together, right? So this is something that I think a lot of people underestimate. So I'll leave it there. I think everything else is pretty self-explanatory, all things the national D visa. However, there are some things that I may have not covered that I didn't feel the need to because they're so specific to certain cases. Again, feel free to contact me and I'll leave a link below for more information. I hope this was helpful. If you are traveling soon to Germany, enjoy it. It's a beautiful country. It's a dynamic country. It's an incredibly strategically important country, all things politics, history, economics. And I think it will surprise you and I hope you enjoy your time there. That's it from me for now. Till next time. Bye.